Welcome to This Explainer. Look, whether you're a CS student just hoping to break into the industry, maybe a tech veteran watching your company's hiring completely freeze up, or honestly, even just a consumer of tech products, this is going to reshape your world. Today, we're diving deep into a truly monumental shift in the tech landscape, the newly proposed H-1B wage rule. We're going to systematically trace its structural consequences across the entire tech sector. And we're talking everywhere from the massive multinational corporations all the way down to your local university research labs. Because, guys, this isn't just some minor policy tweak. It's a fundamental recalculation of exactly how tech talent is valued, sourced, and ultimately paid in the United States. So let's just jump right in by anchoring our attention on this absolutely staggering figure right here, $162,000. Under the administration's proposal published in March 2026, this is the new proposed salary floor for an entry-level H-1B software engineer in San Francisco. Now keep in mind, that's not for a senior developer. It's not for a seasoned manager. That is literally the bare minimum for someone fresh out of college. I really want to start with this number to immediately establish the sheer stakes of this policy. This single figure basically sets off a chain reaction that completely reshapes the economics of hiring. To wrap our heads around what this actually means for the industry, we're going to break this down into 6 quick parts. We'll look at 1, the $162K salary floor, 2, recalculating prevailing wages, 3, the policy's stated objective, 4, mounting visa financial barriers, 5, the AI employment paradox, and finally, 6, who absorbs the cost. Let's get right into it. All right, starting off with part 1, the $162K salary floor and mapping out the immediate financial shock. So we just saw San Francisco hit $162,000, but look at the cascading effect this has across other major hubs. The exact same entry-level role in New York suddenly jumps to $132,000, and down in Dallas, it hits roughly $113,000. These specific city-by-city salary floors represent a roughly 30% increase from current minimums. Essentially, the Department of Labor is instantly raising the fundamental baseline cost of entry-level hiring across the board for both the H-1B and perm visa programs. Moving right along to Section 2, recalculating prevailing wages, and looking at the actual technical mechanics behind this. You're probably wondering how they actually calculate this, right? Well, historically, the prevailing wage for level 1, which is the entry tier, was anchored way down at the 17th percentile. But this new proposal grabs that anchor and lifts it all the way up to the 34th percentile. Meanwhile, level 4, the senior tier, gets pushed from the 67th percentile all the way to the 88th. So basically, by doubling the entry-level anchor, the math just naturally cascades and pushes up every single wage tier in between. It's an across-the-board shift. Okay, so what does that percentile shift look like in actual dollars? The Department of Labor's own estimate notes that the average system-wide cost goes up by about $14,000 per role annually. But, and this is absolutely crucial to note, senior positions are going to absorb a far more severe financial hit. For example, a level 4 data scientist in Silicon Valley, they could see their salary floor rise by more than $45,000. On top of that, legal commentary has even projected that certain occupation by metro combinations could see these new legal salary floors land near or incredibly even above $208,000. Which brings us to Section 3, the policy's stated objective and their focus on addressing the wage gap. To be completely neutral here, the administration's framing is actually very straightforward. They argue that the current wage bands, which were originally set way back in the 1990s, sit well below the actual market rate distributions that American workers face today. And they note this is particularly true for early career engineers and recent STEM grads. So, by explicitly moving these bands up the percentile distribution, their stated intention is to protect American STEM workers from cheaper foreign labor. Basically, they want to completely remove the cost incentive for companies to fill entry-level technical roles with visa holders. Let's look at Section 4, mounting visa financial barriers, and how these costs are really stacking up. Employers are staring down a brutal 1-2 punch right now. Check out this timeline. In September 2025, a massive $100,000 fee was slapped onto new H-1B petitions. Now that replaced a much smaller fee structure that used to just be around $2,000 to $5,000. Then, in December, a federal judge actually upheld that $100K fee, despite intense pushback from the U.S. Chamber of Commerce and 19 different state attorneys general. And now, fast forward to March 2026, we see these massive prevailing wage hikes proposed. When you stack all of these costs together, the marginal cost of hiring an entry-level H-1B engineer in a major city shoots up by tens of thousands of dollars before the person even signs the contract. Next up is Section 5, the AI employment paradox. Let's talk about what happens when this meets a contracting market. This is where things get super fascinating on a macro level. Right now, the entire tech industry is fundamentally reshaping its labor costs around artificial intelligence. We're seeing massive shifts where companies like Meta and Microsoft are literally converting traditional payroll into AI capital expenditures. So here is the paradox. While demand for highly specialized AI roles is staying strong, entry-level and generalist software work, the exact roles so many recent grads are applying for, is rapidly shrinking. And yet, this new H-1B wage rule explicitly targets and lifts the floor for those exact entry-level roles, the very segment of the market that's disappearing the fastest. And look, the shift toward AI isn't just a theory, it is happening right now. As you can see from this chart, of the 78,000 tech workers laid off in just the first 4 months of 2026, roughly half of them, about 39,000 jobs, were attributed directly to AI taking on tasks that formerly required human hires. Companies like Atlassian just went through massive restructures following this exact pattern. So with the H-1B minimums skyrocketing at the exact same time AI is absorbing entry-level tasks, analysts are predicting that far fewer entry-level visas are going to be filed. The work is either going to be offshored or just completely absorbed by AI tooling. Finally, Section 6, who absorbs the cost? Let's break down the industry split. So who actually pays for all this? Well, it creates a pretty stark divide. Big tech titans like Amazon, which sponsors over 10,000 H-1B workers, along with Microsoft, Meta, Apple, Google, OpenAI, they're likely just going to absorb the costs. In fact, NVIDIA's Jensen Huang recently shrugged off that earlier $100,000 fee, basically saying that they just continue to sponsor whoever they needed. For them, higher wages are just an income statement reporting change. But smaller IT services firms, the ones that have historically relied on H-1B for mid-level outsourced engineering, they are going to be severely, severely squeezed. And then we have universities and research labs who are honestly facing an absolute paralyzing structural conflict. This is a really crucial point for the future of innovation. The academic pipeline is deeply threatened here. Universities rely heavily on the H-1B visa because it's the standard conversion path for foreign-born postdocs and graduate researchers transitioning into US-based jobs. But here is the fatal flaw in the math. Academic salary scales significantly lag behind both private sector wages and these newly proposed Bureau of Labor Statistics percentiles. Their constrained academic budgets simply cannot match these new mandated corporate floors. It creates a massive structural conflict that the Department of Labor's current text just doesn't address. So I want to leave you with this provocative thought to ponder. The administration has been very clear that they intend for this to be an end-state policy, not just a stepping stone. But the comment window closes on May 26, 2026. Higher education groups are pushing back loudly. Employer-side immigration law firms are already previewing constitutional challenges, just like the Chamber of Commerce's earlier litigation. So will this bold end-state policy actually survive 2026 totally unaltered? Or will the sheer force of market economics and mounting legal pressure inevitably force the math to bend, compressing those massive entry-level percentile increases? It's honestly a defining moment for the future of tech talent in the US, and it's something we're going to be watching very, very closely.